Hi guys, so I'm pretty excited because in this video, I'm going to show you the full process for how I took my warped painting and transferred it onto a brand new stretcher frame. If you're a collector or an artist like me, you've probably encountered this issue at some point where you have a stretched canvas warp or something happens so the original frame is no longer good and you need to take the canvas off and put it onto a new frame. So in this video, I'm going to take you through step by step from taking your painting off of the original warped stretcher frame, how to prepare a new stretcher frame, how to restretch the painting, and then ultimately how to frame your piece in a floater frame. So this painting that you're gonna watch me restretch is called Sean at Queen Video, and it was actually part of a series I was doing where I was painting people alongside their most treasured objects. So every item in the painting has a really special meaning and a story attached to it. I actually painted it about 10 years ago now, and I bought the canvas as a student. So even though I got the original stretched canvas from an art store and a brand with a good reputation, I actually noticed that it had started to warp before I'd finished the painting. So there was clearly some issues with the frame from the beginning. So I finished the painting on the warped frame, but ever since then, it's never actually felt finished because I really loved the painting and I just felt like I really wanted it to be put on a square, straight stretcher frame. And because I was nervous about doing it myself and my lack of expertise at this, I sort of put it off as an issue to face down the line. I really wanted to do the restretching right, and it's hard to find somewhere that does this, but that's also affordable. But a few years ago, I discovered a place called Upper Canada Stretchers, and their speciality is in making very high quality stretcher frames and other surfaces. They also do restretching, and they have a lot of experience, and they've restretched some very expensive paintings. So when I reached out to them about restretching my painting, I asked if they'd mind if I filmed some of the process so that I could share it with you. And they fully embraced the idea, even suggesting that Bob, who's the founder of Upper Canada Stretchers, give me like a full lesson on how to restretch my painting and how to put it into a floater frame. So I want to say a huge thank you to Bob, who you'll see throughout this video, for sharing all his experience with me, as well as Terry, who you'll see later building the stretcher frame, and Melissa, who built the floater frame. Plus, she helped me to set up for the filming while I was there and helped to get all the close-up shots that you'll see. So excuse some of the editing in this video. I'm an artist and I'm still getting used to filming longer videos and editing them. I filmed some of it in like portrait mode, and I feel like it looks better when it's all in landscape, but that's what I did. I really felt like it had to be a longer video because there was so much information. I couldn't really like cut any of it out. I just wanted you to see the full experience that I had because I learned so much from it. So I feel really lucky that I got to have that lesson, and now I get to share the whole thing with you. I hope that you enjoy it and learn as much as I did. The first thing I had to do is remove the staples. I ended up using this staple remover, which was pretty effective. You can also use a screwdriver or some needle nose pliers. It's very tedious to take the staples out one by one, but it's super easy and it's much cheaper to do it yourself, even if you're having someone else do the restretch for you. That way, you already have the painting off the frame before you take it anywhere. Though I should say, you really need to have good measurements of the painting on its original frame before you remove the staples. You'll need these measurements to be as accurate as possible for when you order a new stretcher frame. As I took the staples out, I was careful not to damage anything on the front of the painting. I found it best to use a clean rag so that I wasn't touching the front with my fingers. It doesn't seem like very many staples when you look at the little pile in your trash can, but it took a number of hours to finish this. Obviously, you're going to want to make sure you check every side of your painting and you don't miss any sneaky ones in the corners. Of course, that's exactly what I did. I missed one staple in each corner that was actually tucked underneath this fold. Once I finished removing the staples, I ended up leaving the painting wrapped on the frame. Of course, as I said, it was actually still attached in all four corners, but the fold of the canvas meant that it would have stayed on the frame anyways, and it was much easier to store it that way. I think it will actually be easier to carry like this. Like, I don't think this is gonna fall off. I'm gonna have to carry a bunch of stuff. The forever artist problem. Okay, well, wish me luck. This is the last time you'll see this painting on this wonky frame. I don't think you can really see how warped it is, but if you see it like lying flat against the wall, it's pretty obvious. Like, it kind of sticks out at the bottom. Please don't fall off. I'm going like this. At least it's not raining today. So today's the day I'm gonna get my canvas restretched. I'm gonna pack up my tripod, so I think this would be really useful. I'm gonna try and just like film the whole day because I don't normally make like blog style stuff. Is that another artist's life? your backpack looks like that. It's not wet, so don't worry about it. Okay, I'm here and I'm gonna go inside.
Hey, Doris.
Hello. I need like a stick.
Well, you want to step? Here's a step ladder.
Okay, that is a lot easier.
Because you could put it there too. This could go in the middle. 30 by 48.
I mean, it's a pretty beefy stretcher.
Yeah, compared to the other one.
The other one is so pathetic in comparison. Okay, so we're here at Upper Canada Stretchers because I've got to re-stretch this thing and learn how to do it because I have absolutely no idea.
Yes, well, you've come to the right place. That's exactly what we do, is we make stretchers and we show you how to stretch them.
We upgrade this flimsy frame to this beefy one.
Yeah, here's the new stretcher that's going to be used. You can see the difference in
Quite a huge difference.
the amount of wood being used, and like when you build a bridge, you use heavier members to make sure it's stronger. The same thing with the stretcher. The problem with this one is that there simply wasn't enough strength in the stretcher. Contrast.
Yeah.
Just go like
Show
that.
the difference.
Right? Yeah.
The before.
Before. Yes, so this painting was brought to us by Doris, and it was on a very light stretcher, and what happened is that the tension of the canvas within what you say less than a year is enough to warp the painting, and it was clearly in need of a new stretcher. Doris came here. We manufacture stretchers, and we are happy to show her today how to restretch this canvas.
Perfect.
Here's a beautiful painting. We'll do restretching. Well, the nice thing about restretching is that it's pretty hard to mess up. If something doesn't work out, take 2 steps backwards and start over and get it right. The first step is to remove the staples, and Doris has already done that. These are stapled all the way around.
Oh no, I just noticed I missed one.
Okay, there's one more. Well, there's a staple remover. If you don't have a staple remover, you can use a screwdriver, and that's it. There you go.
There, we did an honorary one.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing you left that in there so you can show how that
And
works.
hopefully I didn't leave the other corners in.
Yeah, we can check the
I
corner.
think I might have.
There's one in every corner. All right.
And I really thought that I got them all out.
Yeah. I'll turn this around so you can stay there. You can actually pinch it like a pair of pliers. This has a...
Real purpose.
Yeah, just put it in there.
Oh, I see.
Squeeze. Pull it out. But like I said, most people don't have these at home. If you're at home, you just get a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and you may need to use needle nose pliers if one end remains stuck in the wood.
Okay, so we're showing the full process.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So it's really important that the new stretcher fit the painting. Before you take the staples off, you would have measured it. Then you would order the stretcher from whoever's supplying it. In our case, it's Upper Canada Stretchers, and we were able to make it to your specifications. Because if the stretcher ends up being too big, the folds on the painting will be visible on the face of the painting, and that won't be an attractive look. You can undersize the stretcher a little bit, which is a safer way, because you can always expand the stretcher by peeling out the corners. That will give you an extra 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch.
And I can see here now that we've like unraveled it a bit, like even more of the issues with the original frame.
Let's take the stretcher off. I'll let you do that.
Ceremonial.
Yeah. There you go.
Goodbye.
That was easy.
Well, you can even see like the little light.
Yeah, it's important that you know which is the face and which is the back. The face of the stretcher has a raised edge. The back is flat.
Right, so it kind of holds the painting.
The raised edge is to keep the canvas from you want it touching only on the edge. You don't want it touching on the side.
So this would be
that's the face.
front.
Now it's worth, before you staple, checking the dimensions. You know it's 30 by 48. That's 30 right on. That's good. By 48. That's good. And as a final check for squareness, you measure the diagonals. So you go from one corner to the other, and that's an important step to take in order to ensure that the frame is square. If the original stretcher was not square, to make this look good, you're going to want to
Be the same.
be the
as
same.
original.
It's a good idea to start square and hope that the original stretcher was square. What I would do now is get you to line up the folds on all four sides.
So kind of like the edge fold there.
I can help you on this side here. It looks like it should come your way, but so what may be helpful is using pins to temporarily fasten the corner. You should just start to see the paint, because you don't want any of the white showing.
Maybe that was, oh, this is hard.
Let's go, okay, there's the painting there. So if we go right to there, you can see just the slightest amount of the paint. Okay, so I would pin that both ways and this way as well. Let's do the same thing at this corner here. So we got too much of the painting showing there, so we'll slide the stretcher back a little bit till it's just starting to show.
Yeah, it seems like a little far.
Yeah, so not catching the painting there. This is maybe a situation where this stretcher needs to be a tiny bit smaller. What I like to do is, let's look at it this way here.
That looks fine there.
Yeah, that looks good.
And is it the bottom where?
There's a fair amount of white showing here, if we get that right. So my guess is that the original stretcher in the center here, it's almost 3/16 of an inch less than the edges. So we're going to have to make the stretcher smaller. The original starts at 30, then it goes down by almost 1/4 of an inch, and then it comes out.
Oh, so it goes like that.
Yeah, because our stretcher is straight and inserting mode, we're having a hard time getting the same edge to line up with the stretcher.
Because of the, like it kind of hourglasses in the middle, does that mean it would be like a case of losing a bit of the painting on the edges?
Ideally, if the painting lends itself to losing a little bit so that it can be wrapped around, that's the right solution. You know, this is very typical of, so it's actually kind of good that it happened. It's not on a good stretcher from the start. The painting will maybe not be square.
If you do lose a tiny bit of painting, it will be stretched around the corner. And that's a lot easier than having to like remove varnish, complete an extra bit of painting. Because how much would be essentially like perhaps lost?
It's less than 1/8 of an inch per side.
So if you didn't catch what just happened, basically the original painting was made on a 30 by 48 inch standard size frame. And because the painting had warped before I'd even finished it, it still measures the same on the edges, but the height of the painting is actually shorter in the middle. So basically we need a custom size stretcher frame that's slightly smaller than the original. Apparently this is a pretty common problem when paintings are made on a warped stretcher frame. So even though it meant extra steps at this stage, it was actually good to be able to show you what to do if this happens to you. It also meant that I could watch the custom frame being made in the workshop. I've never actually watched a stretcher frame being built before, and it was really fascinating to see all the tools, the machinery, the math, all the skill that goes into putting them together. So next you're gonna see Terry, who's an expert at woodworking and making high quality stretcher frames, put together the custom stretcher frame in the workshop and tell us a little bit about how he does that. And then we're gonna come back and finish the restretch. Do you mind if I film you a little bit? You must get very good at being very precise.
Especially when you're working with a custom size like this. A lot of work for conservators and museums, and they're often replacing a frame like what you're seeing here. Very regular part of it. used to be able to do the math and just do the outside line. I don't do it every day now. Yeah, now because we went to universal brace and putting the universal brackets on, we made these jigs where your bar drops in here and it automatically
it gives it a little notch.
It actually puts 2 dimples, which is where the customers use that as basically a pilot hole for the screw for the universal bracket, but that gives us the advantage for any even size, any stock size, and you've got lines on here that you could line out that markup and not have to lay it out like this.
You have to do it all the old school.
Yeah. So then we check the setup. This piece of machinery might be even older than I am.
I love all the little bits of writing all over it.
This actually came from England initially.
Huh?
Where it was made.
So you're creating like the holes here?
Yes, yeah, this is the mortars turning for the brace. And we want to, what I'm checking for is at the back, because you want this far enough ahead. This is where the key is going to go in on this side, the slot for the key. So you don't want that back too far, but if you go ahead too far, it starts breaking out the front. So. Those are done, and we move on to the brace.
And do the measurements for the braces, like, are they different as well now?
Yeah, so when I cut the bars on the upsaw, we have a jig we use because the offset for the brace is the same for every bar length. The offset is the same for the brace. The regular jig, when I cut the custom length bar, I just put the jig in, and it gives me the right length for the brace.
Okay.
Same process here. Essentially, I'm finding center and then going out 1.5 inches to give myself a 3-inch space. This just drills the hole for the hardware. The process before this cut the slot for the key, but we still have to cut some off so that you have a tenon to go in. What we're doing now. Just a little round off on the end so it's easy to slip in. You're not going to catch. I'm going to take a second and check that I took enough off on that little notch. And then final assembly. The hardware for the out.
So it essentially just gets like affixed in that one position in the middle?
Yes. Yeah, this is the only part that's fixed on the frame. Pretty much hold themselves together.
It's funny that it only requires that few pieces of hardware to fit together.
And in some ways, it's such a simple system.
Like, it's all the engineering and design that goes into it.
Yeah, so what the customer gets is what you saw when it came to the table.
Well, this is the first time I've ever seen a frame come together in front of my eyes as opposed to buying it.
Check for square.
It gets its little sticker.
Gets a little sticker. So you know the quality is in it.
Seal of approval.
That's it.
Perfect.
And finish frame.
Yay! Okay, so here's the new stretcher now, looking really nice. To account for the painting's warp in the middle, it's wider here at the ends,
It's almost a quarter of an inch wider.
which meant that we needed to make it more precise.
Smaller, yes. To keep it square, we have to use the minimum dimension, which was in the center, and that means we're having to reduce the size of the stretcher on the sides as well. So some of the painted image will actually fold slightly over, but that's what you want. You want the face of the painting to be entirely painted. There is a signature down here, so we'll try to make sure that we keep the signature on the face of the painting. All right, you ready to do some
Yes.
stretching? Turn that over. It's important that the frame be square. So I checked the diagonals, I just did that, and the diagonals are exactly the same. That confirms that the stretcher is square. Now what you'll want to do is the same exercise where you want to make sure you can see the painting.
So I can see little bits of painting all
And
along.
you'll see more on the longer side. I can see it here.
I can see it here.
I don't see much here, so I think it has to go
This way.
a little bit your way. Okay, and I'm just starting to see it now. And we're good there. I could probably go a tiny bit more. Try that side. Oh, I see a bit of painting on that side. We're good here.
Looks like we're
Right
good
there.
here.
Can you see the painting?
Yep.
How about in the middle there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a little over 16th on this side showing. Okay, so
So we're already much better.
I think we're in good shape here. So what I would do though is tack it with this staple. So you're going to want to pull that tight. And we usually just put the staple on this light angle just to so that the perforations are not in the same in alignment with the thread. So just go stretch on prime canvas, which can be pulled apart. It's
Better,
slightly
not
better
to
when
be
you
on
do.
the same weave.
So what I would do then is go to the opposite side, do the same thing, pull it tight by hand. Let me explain. Some people use stretching pliers. These are examples of different types of pliers. If you have a stretcher that has keys in it that allows for the expansion of the frame, you can put it on hand tight, and the stretching is done by the stretcher.
keys.
That's a real big advantage. If it was a fixed frame, then you'd have to use these pliers to achieve the kind of tension that you really want. Not that much of an angle, just a slight angle.
Slight angle.
And we'll repeat the same on this side here. Just pull it,
Okay.
not quite that much angle. There you go. You got it. You've got 3 staples on it. You can turn this around. So it's tacked in. It's worth doing a final check. At this point, you could even look at it on the face and confirm that there was a signature at the bottom here. You can see we've just got it sitting on the
like
face. Yeah.
Still on the front.
Yeah, I think we're good. So, strategy is to staple away from the center, and I would go 3 or 4 staples on either side. And then you go to the opposite side, and then you go to the ends and repeat the process. I like to pull it tight as much as you can by hand.
And do you try to avoid going over the same places where it was stapled before?
Wouldn't matter. That mark there doesn't mean that the canvas is any weaker. And you go, that's the kind of spacing you want, about 1.5 inches.
Kind of similar to what it had before.
Just make sure that there's no tension. So you could pull pretty hard and you know that you don't have any slack canvas. Anything on that side.
I feel I don't have quite the same smooth action. It looks like such a simple action, and I'm just so clunky about
Well,
it.
that comes with experience.
Okay. So do 3 again.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Oh, slightly different measurement there.
The pneumatic stapler also helps a lot.
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
No, this is a hand stapler, which is what most people would be using. If you're doing stretching all the time, you'd probably have a pneumatic or an electric stapler. But we're going to make you work here.
Yeah, you gotta do it the people's way.
The people's way.
1, 2, 3, so do
Yeah, one more, sure. Oh, you're going to be a pro now.
Like the left-handed one or whatever this side, not so smooth.
Yeah, you're sort of cross-handed there.
This is how it's supposed to be.
We're speeding up the video now.
Yeah, exactly. This is sped up so much.
Walk over here. That's the best way. As you get closer to the corner, you have to pay attention to the fold. Because the frame is a little bit smaller size, the stretcher, the fold is going to be a little different.
Is there like a standard way?
There's a few different ways to fold, but this is the common way to do it. You would staple right to the end, in this case on the short side. And then I'll put a staple at the end. And then if you pull it like that, it forms a 45. And then you tuck in the extra canvas and it rolls out so that you get a nice clean corner. And then you can, there's the clean corner. Wrap it around, you get the 45.
It's kind of like wrapping a present.
So I'll tack this side. If you wrap it around, you get a little bit of material there, canvas. And I'll bring that around. This is something you can practice. You got nothing to do and you say, well, what would be fun to do for a few hours? Put one staple there.
Like
so you pull it flat that way and it sticks up. And then you pull it at 45. You don't want it less than 45.
And then you pull it across that.
And then this, you can pull out enough material so that last remaining fold lines up more or less with the edge of the stretcher. So that's what it looks like. Staple that in. A little bit left here. Okay, so it goes 2 corners, 3 corners are done. We're going to let you do this with.
Okay, so we start here and we
right
go
there.
to the edge.
Right on, just off the edge, pull tight, and then, yeah. Okay, pull it around and see how it forms that bit of material. That's
So
what
like
you
that,
fold.
goes
Yeah,
like that.
45. And now you take the rest of the material and adjust it until you've got. So yeah, you got it. That's it. Staple
now
it before it
staple it.
moves. Try to avoid generally stapling in
in the
that
corner
seam
again?
because this is going to expand. The staple won't stop it, so you'll want to put a staple there. That's it. Then finish the staple in this.
You need to work on the speed.
Just, I'd put a couple staples in. Okay, these 2 sides here need to be finished up. Okay, there you go, stretched. And now you can see it.
Oh, it looks so good.
There's no white showing on the edge.
And we got the signature on.
Now you can see as I shake it, the tension is not tight. It's tight enough that there's no ripples in it. Loose enough that you probably want to increase the tension just a little bit.
And that's what
the keys are for.
keys come in.
So you can put these keys in. There's a square angle here. You see that?
Right.
And then that's the tapered side. So when you put these in, you want the square angle to be sticking out so that.
So it tapers like down.
Yeah, it's easier to knock it in on an angle than it is. If this was turned in this way, you'd have to hit it along the bar.
I see.
Right? It works both ways, but it's easier to have that angle. The angle of the key has to match the angle inside the stretcher. That's often not the case, and so the keys don't work very well unless they've been made to precisely fit the stretcher. They go at the end of the braces as well. You want to do it so that the right angle is pointing inside the stretcher. One on the braces, and there's two in the corners. Yeah. And this one goes. Okay. First step is to just tap them in just a little bit, just like that.
Just sort of like the same amount on the front.
Just so they register. And you'll notice that we really haven't stretched the joint very much. It's still almost tight. This one here starting to open. So if I notice how it's slightly more open now. We got almost a 1/16 of an inch.
Yeah.
So that's what's creating the tension. See how that's opening up a little bit? That's what's telling you how much stretching is happening.
And do you just try to make sure to keep it like an even amount?
The canvas is starting to resist being stretched because it's a prime canvas and there's paint on it. It's almost like a solid, like a piece of plywood, not quite as rigid, but
Right.
but it doesn't want to be stretched too much tighter, and it tightens up very quickly, so that you don't need to expand the frame very much, maybe a 1/16 or so, and then you'll see how much difference.
Like that's one of the difference of stretching something that's like been pre-painted as opposed to like a unprimed canvas. You have to be
For unprimed canvases, if you're stretching those, you don't want to key them out. You stretch them by hand. It's very elastic and it's easy to get a tension on it. And then when you prime it, it'll shrink the canvas and it'll create a very high tension. And that's before you put any keys in. The keys are only used after, in this instance, you've got the painting done or once the priming is done. So again, if you're not sure about the tension, you could take a look at the canvas or the stretcher and see, okay, there's a small gap there. You want to just maintain the tension on the braces. If you move the corner out by 1/16 and you don't move the brace out by a 1/16, the bar could start to bulge. That's the purpose of a key at the end
like
of the
it
brace.
keeps it all kind of movable.
Everything's got to grow by the same amount. It's a tiny amount. But okay, the tension now. I'm going to turn it over the other way here so we're looking at it there.
Oh wow, that's a huge difference already.
And that's all the tension you really need.
Yeah.
The advantage of the keyed stretcher is 10 years down the road or 5 years down the road, this has been in a really, hot, humid environment, and for some reason the canvas slackens over time. You don't have to re-stretch it with staples. You can simply tap the keys in and re-establish the ideal tension.
That's yay.
I think he's even smiling a little more.
Yeah, I think he is. I think it's a little brighter, the painting.
Put so much work into painting this. You really, it's like you built this beautiful home and it was on a lousy foundation. Step 1, restretching completed.
I should get you walking down the stairs. It's like a little hermit crab that got a new, bigger, beefier shell.
So we cut the stretcher at 47 and a half and we expanded the joint, and now it's measuring 47 and 5/8, so it's grown 1/16 of an inch on all sides to get the tension that we've achieved here.
Okay, so now we're gonna do the floater frame.
Yeah, it's a nice way to add a lot of impact to your work of art. In the case of a canvas, you use a different kind of frame. It's a floater frame. And as the name implies, it makes the canvas appear to be floating within the frame. There's a gap around all 4 sides. It allows for the edge of the canvas to be visible. Traditional picture frames cover up a part of the image. Please excuse the background noise here. We're in a busy shop today. There's a variety of finishes that are available, including unfinished if you want to paint it yourself. In this case, you chose the deep brown. These are shipped typically. The way we do our floater frames is that they can be disassembled and reassembled very easily using these little plastic dovetail keys. You'll get 4 bars, you'll get dovetail keys, screws, and some eye screws. Take an eye screw. So every location where the eye screw is to be placed, there's been a little pilot hole drilled. I'll race you to the...
No.
Just screw it in until the head of the screw just touches the edge of the
Okay.
folder. Good. Frame gets assembled upside down, and you start with one corner at a time. The dovetail key has a rounded edge and a square edge. So the rounded edge makes it easy to insert. So when you assemble the corner, and line it up, there we go. And you can usually get it started like that. You can just tap it in. It's flush.
Just rounded side first.
Yeah, should be able to press it in just to get started.
Watch your fingers.
Nice rhythm. If you had a soft fabric, even just a cotton sheet, it would help protect the painted surface on that leading edge. So we'll turn this around and repeat. The frame's assembled. You'll be putting the screws in through the back, so we need to insert the painting upside down.
Should I lift this?
Yeah, you can lift that up, yeah.
You painted that?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Thank you. I don't mind those kind of additions.
You can see there's a little bit of play. If we were to make it so tight that we had to force it in, it could damage the frame. One way to center the painting on the floater frame is to turn it face up and to examine it. If you see that there's a small gap on one side and it's tight on the other, then you'll want to shim it so that it's exactly centered. And you can fold them 2 or 3 or 4 times if you need thicker and thicker shims. I'd place them 5 inches from that corner. Basically work from the corners, get it centered in that way. Longer frames, this one's a little over 48 inches. It's worth looking at eyeballing the bar and seeing. And this one, you can see it's bowing up a little bit. So when we do put the screw through the eye screw in the back, we'll want to pull this in straight. And that's nothing unusual. That's what the fasteners are for. So we'll turn it over again. Have someone to help you. That's a little easier. If not, you replace maybe a magazine or a thin book underneath. It will help raise the canvas so that it's up against the end. I'm just going to check the play there. We'll go halfway and I'll start with this one. Screws are very pointy. They hurt if you touch them right on the very end, but they're designed to penetrate wood. A little bit of pressure to start. There you go, and then it'll pull itself in after. And you want to just get it so that it's pulling. Yeah, it starts pulling the head of the eye screw down a little bit, and that's perfect. One more, or 2 more actually. You don't have a second person to help you with doing this. You could put a little clamp across here and just to pull it in. So you can see the play there. And that, just by taking a look at it or putting a straight edge against it, pull it in just less than a 32nd of an inch, it'll straighten it out. Voila. So now you get to see what it looks like. And
Wow, such a makeover. Looks amazing.
really helps make the image really stand out. Last step would be to put your wire on the back. The stretcher is really the strong structural element here. You could put a wire from that one to this one. You could use D-rings on the face here. With this system with the eye bolts and the screws that are set down below the back. The traditional system are these Z clips, and they end up sitting on top of the surface, and it's hardware that means it could scratch the wall.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, compared to stretching. One thing you can do to just take that sharp edge off is just run like a pencil, or this is even better here. Now feel what that feels like. See?
Oh wow, that
See?
immediately made a difference.
Yeah, so you could use a screwdriver. This one has usually the round, and the round works better. That's why I switched to using this, but you just do a couple of up and down. What it does is it just folds over that very sharp edge. Good? No, that's it. Perfect.
No sharp edges here.
You're hired. So we'll put it back in the bag and you can take it home. The end.
One thing that I learned during this process is how important it is to sign the canvas itself and not the stretcher frame. As soon as it was off the initial stretcher, it had no title, no information, no artist signature. So as soon as I got home, I re-signed the back of the painting. Then I removed the wire from the original stretcher frame and used it to wire the back of the canvas. As soon as I did, I realized the painting is a lot heavier now, so I'll probably end up rewiring it using D-rings, just so it has a little bit more support. So if you've made it to this point, thanks so much for watching the video. I really hope that you learned as much from it as I did from being there and experiencing it. I want to say thanks again to everyone at Upper Canada Stretchers for allowing me to share this all with you. I was so lost on what to do with this warped painting for many years, and it feels so good to finally have it on a square, high quality support and have it be framed so nicely. I just knew I couldn't sit on a masterclass like that and not just share it with everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see any more of my art instructional videos, and share this video with anyone you know who has a warped painting that they need to deal with.